Hello everyone, I'm Liz Brown Swanson. Welcome to a very special edition of RPV City Talk. What makes this so special is we are at a celebration of the city of Rancho Palos Verdes 35th anniversary. We're in the gorgeous home here of Jim LaBarbera and Georgine McKim. They've opened their doors to invite some of the city's founders and VIPs, elected leaders, all to commemorate the city's 35th anniversary and the dream realized. Let's go in and check it out. I'm here with lovely Mayor Doug Stern. What an exciting evening, 35th anniversary. What are you thinking of all this?
This is a wonderful event, largely because this is a city the residents created, and we're having a wonderful party here, honoring some of the founders, and it's just a great event.
When you look back to that original vision of the city.
I wasn't alive when the city was formed.
I think Tom Long said he was in high school, so were you still in diapers?
No, I think I was in college then.
All right. Not to date you here, but just to go back in time, obviously the city was founded really to preserve the coastline, open space. Here we are, flash forward 2008. Is this council doing this today?
You know, I think this council is doing exactly what the founders had in mind. We've preserved so much open space in the last roughly 6, 8, 10 years. You know, we own over 1,000 acres, open space, natural open space, preserved forever. Now we've just embarked on the vision plan. It's just a concept, but it really enhances our coastline, our properties, really is going to make it just an incredible jewel along the coast.
What are some of your challenges you see ahead for the city and also some of your goals?
The next council meeting? You know, the goals are really to work to keep it the way it is. People don't realize you go to sleep and you'll wake up, it will have changed. And the effort it takes to keep this city as it was envisioned, low density, beautiful coastline, it takes a lot of work.
Well, the way the little vignette at the other table says, the dream realized. And being part of the SOC organization, having the benefit of working with all the other 3 cities to fight the LA City Board of Directors, supervisors, pardon me, and the state to get the city, we actually had to change law to have it happen, and with a dream to actually hold development down in terms of population. When we were incorporated, we had approximately 42,120 people. Now, after 35 years, we've got 43,300 some. I think we've succeeded.
I want to welcome everyone. It's a great occasion, our 35th birthday party for our city. Welcome. First off, I'd like to, for those of you who don't know me, I'm the mayor. Hey. That's about the biggest and best ovation I've ever had. Thank you.
And the only one.
And the only one, yes, thank you.
This way.
First off, I'd like to thank Jim LaBarbera and Georgine McKim for allowing us to have this. I must say that the Mayor Pro Tem claims some degree of credit for having suggested this, but it is our hosts that we thank.
Absolutely.
I really wanted to come over here next door and congratulate the city of Rancho Palos Verdes on its 35th birthday. You've done a good job. It's such a great city. It's very well run. You hardly have any problems. So on behalf of the city of Los Angeles, we just celebrated our 226th birthday. I wanted to give you this special recognition and to say congratulations on your anniversary. And here's to many, many more years of a very wonderful city. We're glad we're neighbors.
Here, here.
What we've got going on tonight is a kickoff, a formal kickoff to our 35th anniversary birthday with a wonderful dinner at the La Barbara Estate Villa. We have a number of the founders of the city. We have a number of the former mayors of the city. We have our council. We have our commissioners and committee members, and some other guests, and it's just a wonderful evening here on the 6th of September, almost 35 years to the day that this city was stood up as the fourth city on the Palos Verdes Peninsula, and it couldn't be better.
What were your challenges then, and what do you see the challenges for today's council?
The challenges then were to try to put together a city that would be fiscally responsible, not overextend its boundaries in terms of money, and try to make the goal of having low density and open space as a goal that we could actually carry out, which meant zoning and planning was very, very big. I'm very pleased now to see they have carried it out. They actually have carried out the low density. They've increased the parks that they have. The slide is still moving. It has not stopped, but they're managing to keep that going and keep us going across it. So essentially, they've done a good job in keeping this place a good place to live.
5 terms on the city council and 4 times mayor.
5 terms on the council, 4 terms. Anybody else serve 5 terms with you?
No. No, Bob Ryan served 2 weeks under 20 years. He resigned, so he didn't get to 20 years.
So you are absolutely the longest serving city councilman in our city. Congratulations. And what are you thinking about tonight? 35 years, John.
Oh, it's wonderful. It's gone very fast. It was a lot of fun, a lot of learning.
Ladies and gentlemen,
we all started out very green, still learning, you know. But it's been wonderful to see a city transformed from a bunch of angry people mad at the developers, mad at everybody, and the county and everybody else, and then to see the city start to blossom, reduce the density so that people complain about the traffic today, have no idea what it would have been like to have 70,000 units. 7,000 units on the coastline.
Please join us in the main salon.
You know, it's just, I think it's a great achievement for the community.
The theme tonight is Dream Realized. If you look at what the vision was with the founders, do you think this is a dream realized here in the city?
Well, I think to a great extent, yes. There's still problems that creep up, and with land movement and what have you, it's an expensive place to govern.
Stay tuned. Next year, we'll have the opening of Terranea, the resort at Terranea. That'll be spectacular. It'll have add so many more amenities to our community that will be available on land that was private. It will also provide a great deal of revenue for the city to do some other very beneficial things for our residents. So stay tuned and enjoy.
Janice Hahn was here tonight, and she was talking about how old the city of Los Angeles is. Well, none of those founders are around, so they can't really talk to them about what their vision was. Here we get a chance to talk to the people who had to go work. They came up with a collective vision. There were 200 or 300 people. Well, as a matter of fact, I think the general plan at the time, there was 400 people involved with the founding of the city. And there was a core of people, not just from what is the city of Rancho Palos Verdes, but from all over the peninsula. I mean, there were people to this day that we owe a debt of gratitude. So it's appropriate that we have events like this to remind it. It's not so much for the current celebration, although that's appropriate for those folks who are around now, but it's really a tribute to all those people whose shoulders we stand on.
Well, this is a real opportunity to give thanks to dozens or perhaps even hundreds of people who have helped make the city what it is, who've taken an area that I think would have been under a lot of pressure from urban development and have helped it develop in a way that is truly unique in all of Los Angeles County. And it's not just open space, but it's trying to restore some of the space to what it naturally was, and also trying to make it accessible to people throughout the region so that they can really understand and appreciate what we've got. I think the city is heading in the direction of many things will be kept as they are, but with a lot of enhancements and improvements and a lot of education to help people understand why we have preserved things the way they are.
You know, this is a good council. By and large, it works well together. We've had our problems, and there are differences of view, but I think there's a lot of mutual respect. And the bottom line is we work well with the residents, and we try to give them a good outcome.
We have a number of our former mayors here tonight, and they kept the dream alive and kept the vision alive, so I'm honored to introduce them. And from this decade and part of the 1990s, let me start with Mayor Barbara Ferraro. Where's Mayor Ferraro? Right there. Barbara, come on. A two-time mayor, a two-time council member, term council member. Let me introduce Mayor Marilyn Lyon. I'm sorry. Actually, and Marilyn, thank you for all you did. Now we're going back a little farther. From the beginning of the 1990s, our mayor and former candidate for Congress, Susan Brooks. Susan. Going back into the 80s now, I believe, and part of the beginning of the 90s, we have two-time mayor and councilman Doug Hinchliff. Where's Doug? Come on up, Doug. Okay, now I think we can go back a little farther. Three-time mayor, a mayor in the 80s, and I'm not sure about the early 90s, maybe in the early 90s, but definitely in the 80s. Three-time mayor, three-term council member, but Mayor Jackie Bacharach. Thank you, Jackie, also for what you've done for our city. Let's see, going back a little farther than that, let me go back to the early 80s, late 70s, and introduce Mayor Barbara Hine. Where's Barbara? I'm lost. And by the way, Barbara gets the award for coming the farthest, I think, as the former mayor. Of course. And it's great to see her here. Mayor in, I think I might have this right, 1979. Former mayor from the 1970s, Marianne Shaw. 77. In fact, if you go to City Hall, by the way, you'll see the row of pictures of the former mayors of our city. And they all look great still, don't they? Let's have a round of applause for this. Now, we're not done. We're not done. Okay. The next on the list of mayors, former mayors of our city, and Mayor Stern, who's in his third term, and second time as mayor, introduced him already. But I'd like to pay special attention to the former mayor who holds the record for the most times as mayor of our city, Mayor John McTaggart. 4 times mayor of our city. And then, and I think this is the only one individual left standing in terms of being here tonight, a mayor from the first council of our city 35 years ago, one of our founders, Mayor Ken Daya. And the first mayor pro tem of the city. So, ladies and gentlemen, the elected leadership that made this city operate for 35 years. Give them a round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, the mayors of Rancho Palos Verdes.
I would like to ask our congressman to come forward. He caught my eye, and I think he's got something he'd like to present to our city. Congressman Dana Rohrabacher, welcome.
Nobody's going to believe that this is the typical home in my congressional district. But I'd like to thank our host and hostess tonight. Thank you so much. This has been a wonderful evening, and an evening befitting the occasion that we celebrate and commemorate tonight. This is especially important for me. 35 years ago, I was a resident of Palos Verdes, and my family owned a home down at Silver Spur and Peavy Drive North. And I was an ice cream scooper at Marineland Snack Bar. And there were a lot of people on the hill who didn't live in houses like this, and we were struggling. And let me just note that when my father got out of the military, out of the Marine Corps in 1963, we moved to California. We moved here to Palos Verdes. And my father went out several months before the family to find the place for us to live. And during his entire time in the Marine Corps, he saved $10,000. That's 23 years of work, 23 years of putting your life at risk for your country, 23 years of sleeping on cots rather than doing like the airline pilots, and he was a pilot in the Marine Corps where they got the hotel rooms, etc. But after 23 years, he had saved $10,000, and he came here to find a home for his family. Now, one thing we should all remember is Ronald Reagan used to always talk about the shining city on the hill. My father came from North Dakota. He left a very dirt-poor farm to fight World War II. And when he came here in 1963, he was hired by Northrop, which had a manufacturing unit down here in Torrance. And he looked up, and there was Palos Verdes, the shining city on the hill. And he went here, and he found a place for his family. And that made all the difference in my life, and all the difference in his life after that, with the increase in value of property, but also the quality of life that we made for ourselves here with people who shared our values. So tonight we commemorate that. After 35 years of this city being part of that environment, let me note that 35 years ago I weighed 35 pounds less. But that doesn't mean necessarily that it's been a waste of time. I've enjoyed myself. But it's been an honor representing you in the United States House of Representatives. I think that this city, there's some people who say, they look up on the beautiful, the shining city of the hill, and they say, no one should live like that. Well, a bunch of us say everybody should live like this. That's our goal in America. This is our goal in America, is that with opportunity and freedom, that we can serve as an example to the rest of the country. This is what Palos Verdes is doing, and Rancho Palos Verdes in particular. And America as a shining example, a shining city on the hill to the rest of the world. So with that, I present a certificate of congressional recognition to the city of Rancho Palos Verdes on the anniversary, the 35th anniversary celebration. And let me note, this is doesn't have the gold frame around it that some of these things do. When we balance the budget, we're going to put it until then, it's my honor to present this to you.
I find Rancho Palos Verdes to be a unique community Nowhere have I seen the citizenry so dedicated to their community, and also the continuity. You have fathers and sons replacing fathers and vice versa, and when people get in a job here with city governance, they seem to stay forever. I'm so proud to be part of this community, and our companion animal center, I'm sure, is going to be an asset, and we'll be seeing lots of each other.
What is the vision you see here and the vision you want with that companion center?
Hopefully a model for the nation. Super. And an inspiration to one and all. I see lots of young people coming in to work with animals, older people coming in to work with animals, education about animals, and just a general interest. Because after all, the way we treat animals is indicative of the way we treat each other.
Well, as you know, Wallace Annenberg was here just a bit ago, but was off to yet another event. So she said, "Len, please stand in for me." And I said, "Okay, terrific, no problem." But she got in the car and drove away and left her prepared remarks in her pocket, so I don't have them. But suffice to say, she would have wanted me to start by recognizing the incredible hospitality and generosity of our host tonight. Jim and Georgine, thank you for opening your beautiful home. Absolutely stunning. Thank you very much. And as our mayor has said, this has been an incredible process for us, and Wallace was just over-the-top thrilled with the recent outcomes and the culmination of about a 2-year process to work so constructively with the city to imagine and develop a framework for its future. And we could not be more delighted. And walking her out, one of the things that she kept saying over and over is her sense of the authenticity of the collegiality and the spirit of the people working around this community.
This is kind of a milestone evening because many of the dignitaries that were here when we were planning the house were on the planning commission, so it's sort of like a reunion. Doug Stern and Larry Clark were sitting around that, desk and passing judgment on what we plan to do here.
And hopefully they treated you well.
Well, I think they were our supporters, as I recall, and everything turned out right. And Carolyn Petru was in the background as well, working her magic, and look where she's evolved to in the city structure. So it's all turned out wonderfully for a lot of us, and we're happy to host the city's birthday party tonight.
Well, it's just hard to believe that we are so fortunate. We really do live in paradise. And I think back 10 years ago when I was mayor at the 25th anniversary celebration and think how far we've come even since then. And I'm so grateful to the founders that had the foresight and had the vision to incorporate the city in the first place. I moved here just 3 short years after the incorporation. And every day I thank them for what they did to preserve this beautiful area. And I'm so glad that the emphasis is still on preserving nature, keeping the rural and rustic feel for the city, like one of these photos that's here behind us. But it's just such a beautiful, idyllic place to live, and it's a wonderful place to raise kids. And I feel privileged to have been involved with the city. I was involved with the city directly for 10 years, being on the planning and on the council for 8. And I love it here still, and I'm so thrilled to be a part of this celebration. And I'm so glad that that Mrs. Annenberg came, and that the city is going to be able to work with her on the project down near Point Vicente Interpretive Center.
When did you serve, and talk about some of the exciting challenges you had?
Well, I served from 1993 until 2001, and before that I was chairman of Recreation and Parks and served as the co-chair of the 20th anniversary celebration for the city along with Bob Ryan. So it was exciting times when I served on city council. In fact, the first year I was mayor in 1996 is when we acquired the first open space for all the open space that we have now. So that was very exciting. And we had the preliminary plans for the hotel property and for what would become the Trump property. We were working on it all those years, staying up very late at night, but it was well worth it.
The theme tonight is Dream Realized. Do you feel that's the way it is here?
I do. As my husband and I were driving to this event tonight, we drove past the hotel as it's going up, and it's like a phoenix rising out of the ashes. There had been many plans that had been dashed because financing didn't meet with approvals of City Council at the same time. And finally, there was a developer that adhered to what the council and the community wanted, and with regard to quality of life. And we have a beautiful project that will be open in June of '09, and I think everybody's very excited about that.
The 7th elected council member here in our city.
Essentially, it happened by chasing my 2-year-old carriage, and her toys were in the street. And so I'm walking down the street, and the man across says, what are you looking for? I'm looking for my children's toys. And he said, are you interested in the city and its formation? Would you like to go to a meeting? And I said, why, of course, I'd love to. And that was the beginning of how it became that I joined Save Our Coastline. I became the development chairman, which meant before there was a city, I was the person who watched every single development, every single house that was put up, every single proposed development, every single plan that was looked at, and roads and everything. And then I would come back to Save Our Coastline and I would report. I lived down at the Board of Supervisors and testified probably every week, and at least 4 times a week I was downtown. So I was involved a little bit before the city came. And then there was a first council, and I didn't run because I was tired. And after 2 years, I said, they don't know what they're doing, and I ran against Ann Shaw. She won, and the next year I won.
And the theme of tonight is a dream realized, and that's really what it was for so many of us. We all moved into this really very special place that had so much to do to keep it the way it is, just to even make sure it stayed this way. And each council worked on it. My council worked on keeping the coastline accessible and made sure there were trails, and then the successive councils have bought more land, and it's wonderful. It's very exciting.
Every council has their own challenges. When you reflect back, what do you think were some of your biggest challenges when you were serving?
Well, I think keeping the coastline open. Marineland closed while I was serving, and that was such a tragedy. We were all so upset about it. And then how we could stop the landslide. We worked very hard getting geologists in to see what they could do to advise us on how to stop the landslide, or at least hold it back so that we could preserve our road, for example. So those were some of our big challenges.
Of course, challenge day, we still travel the bumpy road.
Yes, yes. And you're reminding me, when I got on the city council, there was no median on Hawthorne Boulevard. And it was very dangerous to drive up those streets. But we had to do things like that. So things we don't even think about today, we've built up from the bottom.
Fighting to get the incorporation done in the first place was extremely important for us to do it at the time we did it. We had Howard Jarvis against us. Howard Jarvis was on the side of the developers, and we still got something like 82% approval. So I think we did an effective job of making the public aware of what could happen, and it didn't. And so I'm very proud of that.
When you look back to that time and where this city has come along, certainly in terms of the coastline and development you're seeing, are you pleased?
Yes, I am. People don't remember that in the original city plan, where Terranea is now, was Marineland, and the plan at that time for that commercial property was to be a resort hotel. In fact, we were working with the then owners of Hollywood Park, who was interested in putting there, but that fell through. So Terranea is a culmination of a plan that was put in place way, way back when. The Donald Trump Golf Course is a benefit because no homes. That was actually Region 7, which was set up for a lot of homes, and now it isn't. It's all open space. So if you take a look at that, we're in good shape. Region 1, which is the port right off of Peavey Drive West and Hawthorne, that was originally slated to go very high density. In fact, there was a lawsuit that went to the courts, and the courts ruled that we were in the right and we could limit it to 4 units to the acre. Actually, the property now is only 2 units the acre, which is a great benefit. Throughout that entire process, the city and the members of the council, that first city council, we were all sued for $20 million for conspiracy, because the developers claimed that since we were elected, we had conspired during the election and were implementing what we had said. And the court said this is the first time that politicians promised something during the campaign and came through with it, and he threw out the lawsuit, which I thought was great. If you take a look at the city and you get over the little nuances that are happening, and you go back to what the original intent was and where we are and what we have achieved, all the councils, some to a different degree, but all the council have held true to that original goal. That's what I'm most proud of, and I'm going to be here and a thorn in their side to make sure they continue.
We're glad you're here.
I really do want to recognize the RPV staff that put this party together. They did a great job, and hopefully they're all here. I'll call their names. Hopefully they'll come forward. Ron Rosenfeld. Ron. Matt Waters. Katie Now. Nancy Silver. Carol Preciado. Mona Dill. Sue Moore. Marcia Booth. Jim Boyle. Rosemary White Smith. Martha Cortez. Kevin Ball. David Arriga, and Francisco Lopez. Thank you for a wonderful evening. With that, I would ask all the former mayors to come forward for the cutting of the cake.
And that's going to do it for this edition of RPV City Talk. Thanks for watching, and happy 35th birthday, Rancho Palos Verdes. See you next time.